So Lithuania's prime minister has said the decision to include Taiwanese in the name of Taiwan's representative office was a mistake. I'm wondering, following the prime minister's comments, have there been any further discussions about changing the office's name?
Well, our president has assembled main decision makers working in the area of foreign policy and national security. And the conclusion of that discussion was that, first of all, this is not a decision that Lithuania can make unilaterally because, well, Taiwan is involved. Secondly, that we should not make any steps that would betray or humiliate our friends, because Lithuania and Taiwan has really wonderful friendship. And as you know, for me, that was always about security and defense dimension, because both Lithuania and Taiwan have been experiencing both Russia and China as perpetrators, from cyberspace to disinformational campaigns and many other hostile activities. Therefore, I feel that we have a very good relationship going on in this area.
Just to make sure, so you said that the end result of those discussions was that the name wasn't going to be changed, or that they weren't going to pursue a name change. Is that correct?
Well, the end of the discussions, I believe, is not there yet. Okay. These are the discussions that are continuing, and we will see how that goes. However, I think that the main decision makers made their position known clearly, and I am happy to see that for the President of our Republic, it is also important to retain dignity and in certain cases also stable and predictable behavior in foreign policy, in international security-related issues is very important.
But the President and the Prime Minister did make their statements clear that they felt...
Yeah, I think so. And I think that also it shows that as politicians, we haven't done our homework enough to explain to our society as well that appeasing China is a gift to Russia. And we probably all understand in Lithuania, after 2 horrible bloody occupations by Russia, that gifts to Russia or appeasement of Russia never ends well for us.
You said changing the title of Taiwan's representative office would be a win for Russia. Why is that?
Because if we betray our friends, our democratic friends, in favor of autocratic states that are openly and actively enabling and supporting aggressor Russia, which is destroying Ukraine, and instead of supporting democracies, we would support, appease, and make happy autocracies, that somehow doesn't seem really consistent with the political goals that we have had for decades. Secondly, as I said, tension between the United States and China and importance of Taiwan both to Europe and to the United States, I think is undisputable. And therefore, if we make certain steps that would just weaken Taiwan's position, and we make certain steps that would make China and Russia happy, that doesn't make sense at all. And having in mind that Russia's propaganda has been so aggressive, and this really hostile behavior of Russia towards Lithuania, efforts to mock us, to humiliate us, and etc. I could just imagine the field day for Kremlin propaganda if we would make a decision like that. But again, what we need to remember, this is not a unilateral decision. This is representative office of Taiwan. So therefore, Taiwanese position, their arguments is just, well, extremely important, critical.
Lithuania's president has recently suggested he hopes to balance ties with China and Taiwan, seeking to restore normal diplomatic relations with China while also expanding cooperation with Taiwan. Is Lithuania changing its policy towards Taiwan and China, in your view?
Our goal is to have a single and united front within the European Union. And since all other European Union countries, and by the way also United States, have diplomatic representation on the level of ambassadors with China, to have this sort of usual diplomatic channel does make sense. But it is very different than, expanding cooperation, becoming friendlier, and etc. So when our president said that he also seeks to expand cooperation with Taiwan and just normalize diplomatic relationship with China to the level of other countries in the European Union, I think that also shows very clearly where we stand with China and where we stand with Taiwan.
Lithuania's president said that Lithuania should expand cooperation economically with Taiwan. How exactly can Lithuania and Taiwan expand economic cooperation?
Well, I think that's more on the Taiwanese side. We are ready for cooperation and have been ready all these years and really welcoming this. But also, this is a democratic state, and I've been told multiple times by Taiwanese institutions that, well, businesses make up their own mind, so we are welcoming them, really, with open heart. So let's see what could happen.
And you previously served as Lithuania's defense minister. What kind of defense cooperation currently exists between Lithuania and Taiwan, and how do you think that it can expand?
We have started our cooperation and expanding it in the areas such as civil defense, working together on development of total defense concept, because we have certain similarities facing with threats close to our borders, engagement of society, cooperation of public and private sector, also cyber security. As I said, this combination of cyber informational incidents. These are on the rise for the last at least 6 years in Lithuania, and Taiwan also has a vast experience with that. Cyber attacks, which are also, we are both experiencing daily in massive amounts.
And what about the drone supply chain? Lithuania and Taiwan have talked about setting up a joint drone supply chain. Why is it important to work together on this?
Unmanned vehicles, unmanned weapons, including drones, they are constituting bigger and bigger part of the battlefield. And therefore, combining our technologies, learning from each other, incorporating Ukrainian experience and their ingenious engineering possibilities, I think that we can all learn. I'm afraid that now is the time where all democratic world has to arm up to the teeth and do it as fast as possible. Regretfully, China and Russia are doing that much faster, and therefore we really need to speed up